Hello, everybody. My name is Dale Jones, and I'm the Business Development Manager for Navtech Radar. And together with my colleague, Simonas Mikuzis, who's our Product Manager, we'll be giving you all a brief introduction to Navtech Radar solutions and also our unique friend or foe solution that we've got now. Okay, so Navtech Radar, we're a UK-based manufacturer of high-definition radar sensors. We've been in business now for more than 20 years, based in Oxfordshire, and our systems are installed worldwide, really, but we've actually got 46 international airports where they're typically used for wide area surveillance and critical line monitoring, for instance. And from listening very closely to our customers' needs, our sensors and software solutions are constantly evolving. We've recently introduced several new features such as drone detection, but what we'd like to talk to you about today is our friend or foe identification system, which is unique. So radar itself can be used to monitor a site's perimeter and detect any intruders, but it also has the added capability to provide wide area surveillance for much greater situational awareness of what's happening on a site. At Navtech, we understand radar really well. We've been experts in this field now for more than 20 years. And during this time, we've developed world-leading software and our very own user interface, which you can see here, specifically for radar technology. What you can see here is a recording from our UK demonstration and test site, actually. The software allows unlimited numbers of radars, cameras, and quite a variety of other third-party complementary systems to be combined seamlessly to cover even the most complex and large of sites. We have a variety of sensors available, depending on the size of the site that needs protecting, from short-range sensors of up to a few hundred meters, all the way up to our longest range versions, which can detect up to a 3-kilometer range. Multiple alarm zones can be created on site, each of which can have their own unique detection parameters and also behavior analysis provided within our comprehensive rules engine. And our expanding machine learning capability also helps to reduce unwanted alarms without crucially sacrificing the detection performance of the system itself. And as well as alerting operators to potential multiple threats, radar can also determine the precise location of those threats and then use advanced camera control functions to track intruders in real time for rapid alarm verification, as you could see on the video clip that we've had running. And very importantly, this detection and tracking capability is available day or night and in any weather. And this high resolution capability also gives us the ability to distinguish between people and vehicles, for example, automatically. So as you saw on the previous video clip, unfortunately, radar doesn't just detect the bad guys. The site staff, security teams, and their vehicles will also be detected. So wouldn't it be great if we could get the system to show the locations of these friendly vehicles and people on site without raising alarms, but more importantly, use that information to more efficiently enable an adequate response to incidents as they occur across the site. So some time ago, we identified a real-time GPS-based system, which uses either personnel or vehicle-mounted trackers. And the real-time information that these provide then gives us the ability to distinguish between friend and foe on that site. This means that although still detected and tracked, site staff are not classified as a threat and therefore don't generate alarms whilst carrying out their normal business. As you can see on this simulation of the system in operation, 6 intruders have been detected by the radar system crossing the site perimeter, and these are shown in red as unknowns. The operator can clearly see how many intruders have entered the site, but more importantly, where they are now and also where they're heading for. And as you saw, the system will automatically control CCTV cameras, but we're not showing these on this simulation. So using this real-time information, the operator can much more effectively coordinate a response, And you can see here that two separate security teams have been dispatched to deal with the incursion. Their response vehicles are tagged and highlighted in green to indicate that they're friendlies. The operator could also see that the main group split into two groups, and then using radio contact with the teams on the ground, they basically redirected the two teams to exactly where they needed to be to intercept, apprehend, and deal with the two groups of intruders on this particular example. The system's particularly well suited to airport sites, which is why we've created the simulation that you can see here, but it's also got huge benefits on many other types of site as well, particularly where there are very large areas to cover, and it's important to know exactly where the security teams are at all times. Okay, so some additional features that we've just introduced into this, or about to just introduce into the system. New vehicle-mounted GPS transceivers have been developed with built-in video displays, and these will shortly be available, and they basically will display all of this positional data to the security or site operative, and a live stream of the site map from the AdvanceGuard software which you've just seen will be sent directly to the response vehicle. This means that the operator can see in real time where they are, even in zero visibility situations with very good accuracy. But more importantly, they can also see the locations of all the intruders and the rest of the security teams as they respond to any incidents on site. This additional locational accuracy also gives us the ability to introduce things like a runway incursion capability for airports, for instance. With the vehicle mounted displays, giving the driver full awareness of their location and generating audible or visual alarms whenever they stray outside of their normal operating areas, or if they exceed the speed limits or move in the wrong direction in certain areas, for instance. As I said before, there's particular interest in many airports, and it also means the same system can be used for multiple applications. For example, workstations can be installed for surface movement monitoring, airport operations, as well as the standard security applications we've discussed here, reducing the numbers of unwanted alarms and also improving the overall effectiveness of the system on site. So as a summary, here's some of the major benefits of the system. Really, it's radio-based, which gives us real-time tracking via the GPS system. It's perfect for fixed site locations. Very accurate. We can track up to 500 assets simultaneously at a 1 second refresh rate. Very importantly as well, the data is all encrypted and there are no recurring costs. Once the system has been purchased and installed, there's no recurring licensing costs involved. What I'm going to do now is pass you over to Simon, who will now run through the technical details of the system. So over to you, Simon.
Thank you, Dale. So let's quickly run through the system design and how the system works and what the concepts of the friend or foe system are. So currently, there are two types of transmitters, vehicle and personnel. And as Dale has already mentioned, the new transmitter with built-in LCD screen specifically for vehicles will be released very shortly. So here's what they look like. The personnel transmitter is mounted either on a belt or clipped somewhere else on the uniform. And it has wireless charging, which is very important in prolonging the life of the device. The vehicle transmitter is slightly larger. It has no battery, and it does need to be hardwired into the vehicle. So both devices receive their location data from multiple GPS satellites, and then using RF, they communicate to the friend or foe server. And then, of course, finally, the information comes back into our own AdvanceGuard system. You have probably already seen other so-called trackers that use 3G and 4G to communicate with their systems and servers. Well, this system uses a completely different method of data transfer and communications. It relies on RF data transmission, which is most importantly local and encrypted. And also it is nearly real time. This is a critical requirement for us, as the AdvanceGuard system needs to correlate or fuse data from two sources, radar and those trackers, in real time, of course. Just as an example, if we were to use 3G or 4G based trackers, and depending on how busy the networks are, or if they are available at all, the data would have to travel via a mobile network provider and then come back to our system via the internet. This could introduce a delay of up to 30 seconds or more in more extreme cases, and that would render the whole friend or foe system completely unusable. So once AdvanceGuard starts receiving the location of each tracker in real time, of course, we display them all in AdvanceGuard and automatically assign a call sign specific to each individual unit. Then, based on location, speed, and time, we fuse this track with a track produced by a radar system. And then the end result is a known object on our site with a threat level set to friendly. This means the vehicle or the person can travel freely wherever they need to go without raising any alarms on the site. So let's quickly recap on why you or maybe your customers should choose AdvanceGuard with friend or foe on the existing or, let's say, brand new installations. So first of all, no security operators want to receive loads of nuisance alarms, unless, of course, the procedures require that the system will alarm on any movement on your site. So when combining AdvanceGuard and friend or foe, all legitimate traffic activity will be shown on the map, but there will be no alarms raised. All the site assets, whether they are vehicles or personnel, can move freely throughout the site. So imagine that the whole site is one big alarm zone, and any unauthorized movement will immediately trigger an alarm, except for the authorized vehicles and people. Second, when using a radar system for wide area surveillance, you get unprecedented situational awareness of the activity inside and sometimes even outside your site if the system is designed to do that. Now, by introducing the friend or foe system, you get a whole new experience of situational awareness. Not only you know everything about the activity on your site, but you can also identify everyone without even relying on CCTV. As previously demonstrated in the short video, knowing exactly where the threats are coming from into the site, and of course where they are going, and knowing where your security assets are, it is very easy to accurately guide them to intercept intruders before any damage or interruption to operations can be made. From day one, the system has been designed to be used in a fully automated mode, and there is no need to constantly monitor it. Operators will receive an audible and visual alert if activity that is breaching the set rules is happening on the site. The radar part of the system is not affected by poor visibility, night, time, rain, or even heavy fog. The same thing goes for the friend or foe part. One more thing. I want to be sure that you understand that this is not a new or experimental system. This is now a mature solution that is already being used by our customers. The product is available and can be purchased as soon as you are ready. So, right, where can the system be used and what are the use cases? Well, first, the radar is perfect solution for when you require advanced warning, wide area surveillance, or even special behavioral analysis within your site. For example, speeding inside the site, loitering, not following designated routes, or even entering restricted areas. The system can be used across all the sectors shown in the slide on the screen. There are various use cases for having the friend or foe capability too. The biggest and the most important one is the ability to easily and accurately control and guide your response teams. Another good use case is real-time tracking and identification of VIPs or special cargo within your site. Or even if they are equipped with the trackers, early warning that they are approaching your site so that all the relevant teams that need to interact with the VIPs or that particular cargo can prepare for their arrival. Dale, I'll hand it back to you now.
Yeah, thanks very much, Simon. That's pretty much it from our side over at Navtech. But before we move on to the Q&A session, I thought it'd be good to share some feedback from one of our happy customers. We've been working with Shannon Airport now for several years, and John Francis, the security manager there, he approached us a while ago to help them improve the perimeter detection at the airport. They'd already trialed several different technologies, but all they really provided was the location of any incursions on the perimeter. From an operator's point of view, what they really needed to be able to do was monitor those intruders all the way across the airfield. And because of this requirement for better situational awareness, they decided to trial radar on the site, and we were selected for the trial, which was very successful, and the system was eventually installed. So basically the operators were able to see where the intruders entered, how many of them there were, but as Simon and I've already mentioned really, but most importantly, where they're heading to, so they can effectively coordinate any response from the security team. The friend and foe system was also deployed at Shannon to eliminate any unwanted alarms from airport personnel, and it's been successfully implemented now on several occasions, and they're very happy with the system overall. Before we move on to the Q&A session, we've just quickly posted the poll question to get some feedback from you guys, and then we'll try and answer some of your questions. Okay, there's a few questions that come up, Simon. Quick one here. Are there integrations available with Milestone X-Protect?
Great question. So now if we step back and put the friend or foe system to one side and then focus slightly on the AdvanceGuard and the overall solution, the answer is yes. We have a very extensive Milestone X-Protect integration, and it is being used by quite a few customers now. The integration is currently available, and it can be fully integrated into Milestone X-Protect.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. And obviously that we've got integration with lots of other VMSs as well. So another one here. Can the system automatically determine people, vehicles, planes, etc.? And can they track plane transponders as well?
Another great question. Yes, so the system is quite clever. So the software part of the overall solution is quite clever. And we have a couple of different ways of how we can identify or classify who or what that object is that we are tracking. And we have either a machine learning capability where the system learns by itself, or we have a manual way of teaching the system or saying who that might be. But yes, the system has capability of classifying moving objects within your site, and they can be people, they can be small vehicles, they can be large trucks or lorries, they can be airplanes. And yes, the system now has capability of integrating with ADSB receivers, and we can show and display call signs of airplanes if we're talking about airports.
Yeah, thanks very much, Simon. There's quite a few questions coming, actually. There's another one here. What frequency does the system operate in?
Again, so we have two systems. We have the radar and the friend or foe. So the radar system is operating from 76 to 77 gigahertz. We have other solutions for other markets that now we are using 35 gigahertz as well. Now, for friend or foe system, there are different frequencies for different areas or regions in the world. So, for example, there's one set of frequencies that we're using in the United States. There's another one in Australia, and the third one is a different one is in Europe because of the regulations. You can choose depending on which market you operate in or you work at.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Simon. Another one. Radar detects targets whilst they're moving. What happens when an intruder stops moving? So can the operator see things that aren't moving, basically?
Yeah, there are a couple of things. That's, again, a fantastic question. So normally all radar systems do not like stopped objects. When object stops normally, the objects do disappear from the screen. But we have a couple of things. So we have a function where we can monitor stopped objects specifically. We call it track holding. And then there's another method is that we displayed slightly differently the last known location of the object that we were tracking. So if the person was walking somewhere and then now he's behind a small building, we will show differently that this is the last known position of the person or vehicle that we were tracking. And the camera can then focus on that last known position for set amount of seconds or minutes until the object or person or vehicle comes back out again, and we continue tracking them.
Great, thanks, Simon. Another one here. What's the range of the vehicle and personnel trackers, and how are the positional locations received on site?
So the range of the vehicle and personnel trackers, the system is normally designed so that we cover the whole site. So you would have full identification capabilities within your site. That could be kilometers or miles, or for example, if we have a radar system already deployed on that specific site, we would normally just put an antenna or a receiver at each of the radar locations, and the site would be fully covered both by the radar system and by the friend or foe system. And also a quick example that a few years ago, we did a trial at one of the European airports, and one of the security vehicles left the airport and went outside the airport to a petrol station to buy either some snacks or to just refuel the security vehicle. And we were tracking probably a couple of miles or more than 3 kilometers that vehicle outside the airport. Even though we did not have line of sight, the system was still able to properly track the security vehicle as it was moving or driving on the roads. So that was a great achievement.
Are there any training and accreditation requirements for the end users of the system?
Right. Okay. So if we are talking about the radar system, yes, there is training that we provide to either installers, and of course, we work very closely with the installers or system integrators to deploy the radar solution. With friend or foe system, we call it as an additional add-on on the radar system overall. And that system is so simple and easy to deploy or install that no significant training is required. You normally switch on the tracker and you're good to go. There is some installation required, but everything is incredibly simple. So, but we work together with either it's the systems integrator or just an installation company or even the end user. We work very closely to make sure that the system operates as it should be and the customer is happy.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Simon. Would you require one antenna for each radar sensor?
Very good question. So this depends on how complex the site is and how much coverage we have with radars. Sometimes only part of the site is covered by a radar because of the requirement. And then in that case, we would put an additional antenna for friend or foe somewhere else on the site where there is no line of sight completely. So let's say if we have an L-shaped site and the radar is only on one of the edges of the L shape, then on the other end, we would put another antenna. But if the site is fully covered with radars, we have comms, communications, or a network link, we have power. We just put a receiver at each of the radar locations. It's incredibly simple to do that. And that's it. We have the full coverage of the site then.
Okay, good one.
Great.
How many countries do we cover? Basically, we're deployed globally. We've got systems all over the world, really, which we support from the UK. Over the last 18 months, most of it's been remotely, but normally our engineers would have traveled out to these sites, but we've found it works very well remotely as well. So, but yeah, so the answer to that one is pretty much anywhere in the world we can deploy our systems.
Yeah, correct. There's one question, I'll quickly read one. Can the radar frequency penetrate palm oil estate? Good question. So radar technology is a line of sight technology. So what we normally tell our customers that if you can see a person or a vehicle with your own eyes, most likely the radar system will pick that object or person or vehicle as well. But if the site is fully covered with trees or some infrastructure, we normally design the system so that the radars are placed in the open areas, maybe on the perimeter, maybe to monitor outside the perimeter to get early warning. or just the most critical areas where we do have some clearance.
Can we detect objects or boats on the water surfaces?
Yes, absolutely. So we as a company, we now offer detection in all three mediums. We're not there in the fourth one, which I'll tell you in a second. We can detect objects up in the sky, like drones. We can detect objects moving on the ground, whether they are vehicles, whether they are people, and we can detect objects on the water, because again, it's a surface. So in some scenarios, we can even detect swimmers if the water is calm. But boats, ships, jet skis, we do have quite a few installations where we are protecting the water side of the site. And the fourth one, which we don't have yet, is underwater, but we've started getting inquiries and questions when we will have a system, or when will we be able to offer something underwater, but that might come in the very near future as well.
Okay. Just to do one last quick one, I think, what is the accuracy of the tracking? Great
question. Again, so we're talking about two different systems, the radar system and the friend or foe system. So the accuracy of the radar system is, I'm really proud to say, the most accurate system that you can currently purchase when we're talking about other radars as well. So the accuracy is up to 15 centimeters. So if a person takes one step or half a step and crosses let's say a virtual boundary, we will immediately detect and inform the operators. It is very similar with a friend or foe system. So when those two systems work together, they have to be incredibly accurate, so that as the end result, we don't get two individual tracks. So both systems are accurate enough to display one single track or fuse two tracks into one to say that, yes, that is a person. The call sign of the person might be security staff number 5, and we will be able to say if that person entered a specific area, whether that person crossed a specific line, very, very accurately, precisely, and quickly.
Okay, brilliant. I think we've come to the end of our time, actually, Simon, with some really good questions there. So I'd like to thank everybody for attending. It's been really very good, actually, and we've got some really good questions and feedback there. My contact details are shown here. And if you do have any further questions on anything you've seen today, then please feel free to contact me and I'll gladly get back to you. As I said, thank you very much for everybody for attending, and we very much look forward to seeing you all again on our next webinar. We'll keep you up to date on that. Thank you very much. Goodbye all.